Welcome to Bedtime Story Creepypasta. The lights continued to flicker until they went out completely. The strangest thing, though, the TV stayed on. Just the lights went out. Half a dozen gas lamps out of the street wouldn't have lighted the entry to well. So you may suppose that it was pretty dark with Scrooge's dip. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. Great, what next? I said. What was that thing out there? Repeated the pizza guy. I don't know, I replied. You touched it. Why don't you tell me what it is? Just then, a clattering occurred from above, like a bunch of small rocks pelting the roof, one after the other, or a pack of kittens parachuting down onto the house. I thought you said those things were dead, said pizza guy. They looked dead when I was out there. You were just outside. Why didn't you tell me that they weren't dead? I thought they were. I fumbled to the kitchen in the darkness to grab my mag flashlight from the drawer. Then began the giggles, high-pitched giggles, from outside. Remember those large avalanches off of my roof from earlier? Now came small avalanches, many of them, one at a time, a pattering of tiny legs running, jumping, and crunching into the snow, over and over again. Along with it came sounds of tiny bells jingling, not just in the front yard this time. This was happening in the opposite direction toward the backyard as well. I shot glances back and forth between the front picture window and the kitchen window and back, repeatedly seeing tiny things shooting from the air into the snow drifts outside. A woo freak, I let out. The noise halted abruptly. Pizza guy and I stood deathly still, waiting. One by one, small shadows started to appear through the fogged-up windows. Through the picture window appeared one small, round silhouette just above the windowsill, then one through the back window, then two in the front, then three. They kept coming. By the time they stopped multiplying, there were at least a couple dozen of them just hovering above the sills of both windows, as if they were watching us. What the freak? Started pizza guy. The silence was broken by another giggle, followed by a sliding sound, and a gigantic puff of soot and smoke blowing out of the fireplace. A projectile shooting straight out through the glass doors in front of it. Then a louder giggle as the thing got up and took off running into the darkness. Then again and again, they kept coming through the chimney, one by one, with us shrouded in near darkness, the only light being from the moon and the neighbor's Christmas lights shining through the windows. All the while, the ones outside the windows just standing, and now all giggling together as this happened. I aimed my flashlight at the last one of them, to see a tiny, human-esque body, dressed in some sort of green outfit with a green hat, tiny jingle bells hanging from it. He ran in the same direction as the others, disappearing into the darkness of the house. Elves, I screamed. Elves, yelled pizza guy. Pizza guy turned on the flashlight on his phone and went running into the back, where the elves ran. I followed him with my mag light. I opened one bedroom door and saw elves opening the window, letting more of them in. I slammed the door shut and went to the next to see the same thing happening. Pizza guy looked in one of the other rooms, shouting more elves, before slamming the door closed. What are we gonna do? He screamed at me. I don't know, pizza guy. What do you think we should do? There are a bunch of goddamn jingle bell wearing elves running around my goddamn house. My name is James, not pizza guy. That's nice, pizza guy. I'm a little busy right now. A giggle came from the end of the hallway, back toward the living room and kitchen, shining my mag light toward where the sound came from. I landed my light beam right on its face. It was an elf, but there was something wrong with it. Something with its face. It looked rotten. What's wrong with his face? Said James the pizza guy. I think you were right. They were dead, I replied. And they're still dead. Zombie elves. Are you kidding me? James shouted. The hallway elf started running down the hallway toward me, giggling the entire way. Oh, what a cute little elf, I attempted to say right before he jumped in the air and tackled me by the torso. I now lay on my back on my soft carpet, with a pint-sized giggling zombie just 12 inches from my face, baring its teeth. James grabbed him from the back, picked him up, and threw him into one of the rooms, quickly slamming the door behind him. Let's go, he said. I got up and followed him, running toward the front door. James threw open the door, and we stopped dead in our tracks. Less than 10 feet in front of us, in the yard, was a tall, furry animal onto legs. It let out a blood-curdling growl. It must have been at least 8 feet tall. I cut in front of James, grabbed the door and slammed it shut. "What was that?" he screamed. "Back door," I suggested. We ran to the back, looking carefully through the window, before making any attempt to go through the door. Who knows what could be out there? After seeing nothing, we decided to take the chance. I opened the door slowly, trying to minimize the amount of noise I would make. We both stepped outside carefully, and I closed the door lightly behind me. It was still snowing on a near blinding level. After just a few steps, a giggling came from the direction of the front of the house. As a small green thing came running toward us, I started to run, but the giggling stopped almost as soon as it began, cut off by a high-pitched, shrill squeak. I stopped in my tracks, turning to see what was happening. Just as I looked, maybe 5 feet behind me was the towering creature, holding up an elf by his head, one hand on either side. And then, pop, the creature's powerful hand squished the little jingle baller's head with almost no effort, as blood, brains, and gore squirted everywhere, including a splatter across the creature's face. Pizza Guy and I stood frozen, watching. The creature stared back at us. This was a staring contest I couldn't afford to lose. The creature spoke. "I'm Krampus. You need to come with me. Subscribe or I will haunt your house." If you like this video, please do comment, like, and subscribe for more. Thanks for hearing. See you in the next one.